Double K is a manufacturer of premium diving equipment in Korea, a vibrant and creative country. At Double K, we focus on constant research to develop innovative and comfortable products to enhance the experience of diving for our customers. We take pride in our cutting-edge and stylish designs, providing a sleek yet professional look whether you're in or out of the water. From wetsuits to fins, masks to equalization tools, Double K has all the freediving accessories you will need. Fall in love with your diving with Double K.
Atmos, inspired by the ocean. Location, speed, direction, altitude, atmosphere. Mission 2 is more than a watch. It follows you wherever you go. On the journey to ageless energy. We won't fear the unknown challenges. We won't hold back our curiosity. Your pulse, your tracks, your wake, the direction and achievement in your life. Distance and breath, merging with the ocean flow, our sweat cleansed in the currents. The world gets darker as we descend deeper. But your light will shine through the depth. A variety of color options. Each Mission 2 embodies your personality.
And welcome back. We are now into part 2 of today's diving for Constant Weight Bifins for men here in beautiful Roatan, Honduras for the 29th AIDA World Championship. My name is Brandon Reed. I'm a freediving instructor, a breath training coach, and I am here to narrate the action, give you some context as to what's going on, and tell you a little bit more about the athletes that are diving today. So far, we've had a fantastic morning. I believe all white cards, and we currently have the top 3 positions filled out. We have Abdel first place with 111 meters dive, Walid second place with 101 meters, and Alejandro 96 meters third place. As we've said a few times now, the judges have a final review process of all of the footage from the day. Then they have the opportunity to change any of the results based on the footage that they see. And then from there, the athletes have an opportunity to protest if they would like. So the results that we're seeing now are preliminary, but if everything goes well, that will be the top 3 for Constant Weight Bifins for men today. We are now watching Jordan Alvarez of Cuba attempting an 80-meter dive, and it is a national record attempt.
20 down.
Okay.
30 down.
Jordan was telling me earlier, a couple days ago, when we first started hanging out, that he's been training really hard for this comp, and then there was an issue where he got really sick and lost a bunch of weight and was feeling horrible. And basically was unable to train and lost a bunch of weight and muscle mass. Ooh. So we have an early turn here. And he was telling me that, you know, he's still sort of worked hard to get back in and done some training here. He's been working really hard at the training. But he was more here just sort of have fun, dive, and enjoy his dives, which is, you know, definitely the right way to go, especially with, you know, the sort of stuff that he went through recently with all of his illnesses and stuff. It's far better to just relax, enjoy your time, and keep positive associations with your diving. So here he is coming up. Definitely a little frustrating. He did receive a yellow card, so that means he will receive some points for the dive itself, just not the total amount that he would have gotten if he had completed the dive satisfactorily. Still a really nice dive, and as I've said a few times in the past, and what I always tell all of my students is that if you feel like you need to turn, there is no wrong reason. Whatever reason you have, that's the right reason for you. If you are uncomfortable, if you are struggling, if you just don't feel like doing it, it's always better to turn and dive another day, or do another dive just in general, than it is to keep pushing and risk an injury. There we see Sava, one of our judges, and also helping with running the platform. We have a great team here on the platform, making sure everything is running smoothly, easily, and again, making sure that all the athletes need to do is clip onto the line, do their dive, and then get out of there. Up next now we have Maddie Aronin of Finland. He's the current national record holder for Finland, has the record set at 70 meters, and is looking to push it down 1 more meter. And we'll hopefully see that happen. Here we see one of our taxi boats that are ferrying our athletes back and forth from the shore to the area where they're getting ready. It's also kind of fun. We have boat taxis going up and down the beach as well, so it's far cheaper to get a water taxi than it is to get a car taxi here. And you get to ride in a boat, which is always exciting. Maddie's been diving since he was a child. Primarily started in the pool. and has since transitioned over into diving depth. Definitely a water person. He's also a comic book collector, which is super cool, and definitely something that I need to talk to him about because I'm a huge comic book nerd and fan. I'm sure you guys probably guessed that already, but there we go. It's out in the open now. If you do have any questions about the diving, please do feel free to post them in the live chat. I'm happy to answer them. While I had Christian here, I was not looking at the chat at all, and I saw a lot of messages of support from our athletes, which I really, really appreciate. I also did see one question that I wanted to address, which was somebody asking why the divers were doing hookah underwater. There were a few images of the divers breathing pure oxygen at the back of the boat. Divers will often do that when they've gone very deep as a way to sort of make sure that they don't, or as a way to make sure they clear all of the nitrogen out of their body more quickly. There's a bit of science behind it. If you guys want me to go into that, I am happy to do so. So let me know in the chat if that is something that you're keen on. If not, I will save it for another day. But yes, so the divers were at the back of the boat breathing pure oxygen as a way to recover quickly from their deep dives to make sure that there were no issues with nitrogen buildup in the body. See Maddie up on the surface packing. Packing is an advanced technique used by freedivers to add more air into their lungs. This technique does add a little bit more oxygen into the body, but it also is primarily used by divers to ensure that they can equalize more deeply, or take a mouthful more deeply and then equalize at deeper depths. As I said, though, it is an advanced technique, and so if you do want to learn about packing or about really anything else with freediving, I always say you should go take a freediving course. You'll learn how to dive safely, effectively. You'll work with a instructor who will actually help you correct your technique and make sure you're doing it correctly and efficiently. And you'll have a great time diving.
1 minute. 50 down.
Maddie is wearing a mask and appears to also be doing hands-free equalization.
60 down.
Hands-free is a way to open your eustachian tubes and allow the air to flow freely from your sinuses to your middle ear without having to push.
70 down. Touchdown.
Okay.
Coming up.
Very nice, easy turn at the bottom. And very small kicks, high frequency.
Up.
Probably some of the tiniest finning I've ever seen, but definitely effective, making his way back up to the surface.
50 up.
Nice and quick.
2 minutes.
Sort of opening up those kicking
40
now.
Up.
Hi Costa, good to see you. Costa was one of the safety divers in Bulgaria.
30 up. Diver with safety.
during the AIDA pool comp. And so it's good to see him here.
$20 up.
Still looking good. Taking a little bit of a break in the kicking and then gliding. He's in positive buoyancy now, so very nice, good idea to ride all the way back up. He's okay. Yeah, looking good. Nice clean surface protocol, got the tag, making it look absolutely easy.
White card. Yes.
And a white card. So that is another national record for Maddie, which I believe puts him at a 10-time national record holder for constant weight bifins, which is absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to Maddie for the fantastic dive. Up next we have Carson Moore. Family in the live chat supporting him from at home.
Check in.
Shout out to Robin and Nico. Something that I always love is when family and friends check in. Oof. Sorry about that. We're getting transition and moving around. Cool, yeah, so we can see who's up next. We see some of our, actually our top three coming, heading back now.
8 meters. Then your attention secure. Official gauge on.
Cool. Sorry, as I was saying, I love when family and friends are watching at home. Oftentimes, you know, we talk about how, you know, as freedivers we talk about what it is that we do and why we enjoy it and why we love it. But it's difficult to for a lot of people to actually wrap their heads around. I mean, you know, Carson is going to be attempting a 68-meter dive, and I mean that's a deep dive, you know. And for a lot of people, it's difficult to sort of comprehend what a 68-meter dive looks like, or a 100-meter dive looks like. And it's always great to see family and friends watching these live streams because it means that, you know, they can actually see what their loved ones are doing and why they love it and why they enjoy doing it. So it's awesome to see you guys watching. Or I hope you're enjoying the live stream.
Official top!
Carson lives on El Hierro Island, which is a small island on the Canary Islands. Currently holds the island record for constant weight bifins at 65. Which is super exciting. Congratulations to him for that. And he's here to just have beautiful dives, diving around his PBs. And as we were talking about earlier with Christian, we're talking about the sort of sometimes added pressure that comes from doing a dive during a World Championship event. They are, you know, there's a lot more people wandering around. There are more moving parts. The dive eye is there watching you.
1 minute!
There are people watching at home, and for some people that can add a lot of extra stress. And so it's always great to come to, I think always great to come to bigger and bigger competitions to sort of test how you handle that kind of pressure. It's always interesting to sort of see, because I mean, again, as Christian was saying, some people thrive in that sort of situation where there's added pressure. You know, they're performing for the camera, they're performing for people at home.
30 seconds!
Then there are other people who hate that. So it's always interesting to sort of find out what kind of person you are. And you can only do that by trying.
line is set. It's 68 meters.
And we
Saarenpää
are
is
off.
2:25.
See one of our photographers. See another one of our photographers. Capturing all the action.
20 seconds. 20 down.
Nice slow finning technique.
30 down. 40 seconds. 40 down.
Nice free fall technique
50
here.
Down. 1 minute.
One of the few
60
divers
down.
not using a full wetsuit. Now you can see he's just using wetsuit top,
Touchdown.
and
Coming up.
the legs are uncovered. I know that there are a few jellyfish here and there,
60 up.
but with the lack of current, it's not like other competitions or other dive spots
50
where
up.
they're constantly just being blown past you. So I'd say this is definitely one of the good places to go without
40
a
up.
wetsuit, although there still can be jellyfish. And in waters like this, generally that's your
30
primary
up.
concern.
Diver with safety.
Depending on how long a diver will do their warm-up for, some divers have a longer warm-up routine and run the risk of actually getting cold in the water. So in that case, a diver would want to wear
20
their full
up.
wetsuit. Other divers prefer to do a minimal warm-up or no warm-up, and as such, they can sort of just get away with jumping into the water, doing their dive, and getting out all within, 3 minutes. No, that's not true. You do have the time sitting on the line waiting. So 8 minutes total could be. Okay, Carson is up. Strong recovery breaths, showing an okay sign. Nice and clean. He has the tag. Definitely feeling good.
White card.
And a white card, yes.
One up.
Beautiful dive. Congratulations to Carson. And once again, big shout out to all of those supporting Carson and our other athletes at home. Love to see the support. Love to see the community, the family.
Waiting for check. Waiting for check, Johnny.
Okay, we have, what is that, 7 divers left. Up next with Victor Corson, representing Australia.
Line set. You on the run.
And let's see.
Confirm that, Johnny.
We have Janita on the left-hand side. One of the Finnish team supporting, I believe that is Tommy. Yeah, that's Tommy, who will be diving shortly. Tommy, another one of the Finns here.
Sir, I can bring you the oxygen, but you're going to breathe it in the surface.
Okay.
No underwater.
3 minutes.
Ready?
This is Victor's first competition after a 7-year break. In 2015, he was doing basically 70 meters in each discipline. He's still working a little bit on his mouth fill. Every now and then, something that can happen is that you swallow your mouth fill. With the mouth fill technique, what you're doing is basically moving air from your lungs up into your mouth, and you're closing your glottis. Glottis being your vocal folds. And then you basically hold that air in your mouth and don't let it go back into your lungs. And on the surface, that doesn't feel like much of a challenge at all. But as you go deeper and deeper, once you've moved that air up into your lungs, remember that air always wants to flow from high pressure to low pressure. And the pressure is higher in your mouth than it is in your lungs. So it will almost feel like the air wants to get sucked back down into your lungs. And as freedivers are working on their mouth fill technique, a lot of times the struggle is that they lose their mouth fill, where the air basically just gets sucked down into their lungs again at around, whatever depth they are past their residual volume, which again is the amount of air that you have in your lungs if you basically were to blow all of the air out of your lungs and then hold it for a second or two. Victor's struggle and hard work with mouthfill and losing the mouthfill is felt by many, 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 many divers around the world, and we are all definitely with you and looking forward to seeing, hopefully, the mouthfill stay put in the mouth this time. One of the things that Victor loves about the freediving community is how supportive it is. He says that it's, even for rivals during a competition, it's so nice and refreshing to just be able to hang out, congratulate each other on each other's dives, be supportive of each other, and really wish for the best for each dive. It definitely puts this sporting community apart, and is really something that I love very deeply about it.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Some big final packs, and then we're off.
On the line, we have Victor Corson, representing Australia, and now depth is 67 meters. Dive time is 2:22. 20 seconds. 20 down.
Whoop. We've lost him a little bit. We're gonna work on getting him back into frame. Until then, we are watching Pim, the main judge. If you notice, he has his thumb on the line, and he is holding and feeling that line. Best safeties and judges can hold onto the line and feel the carabiner for the safety lanyard going down the line.
Down.
There we go. So they will actually know, they'll feel the lanyard hit the bottom stopper, and they will also be able to feel when a diver turns around.
Turn. Diver coming up.
Okay. Shoving the tag into his hood.
60 up.
Nobody's there. Yes, it is he. And would you like to jump it? You can go all around the boat and then let me know if you want to jump it.
Okay.
50 up.
Are you ready?
Nice kicking technique. Nice and wide.
40 up. 30, up, diver with safety.
First safety meeting. Still looking nice and
20,
strong.
up.
Riding that positive buoyancy back up to the surface. Giving his strong recovery breaths, removing his facial equipment, turning to the judges, giving the okay sign, saying I'm okay. All good, all very clean. If you noticed, a bunch of water came out of his goggles. Divers using goggles like that, where there's no covering over the nose, will fill. That's a white card. Very nice. They will fill the goggles with water, and they do that because if that is an airspace, that airspace will compress as they go deeper and deeper. And so, without a way to equalize it, the mask will basically feel like it's sucking onto your face. And you can cause what's called a mask squeeze, where basically it looks like you've been punched in both of your eyes. All the blood vessels around your eyes, and even sometimes in your eyes, will pop because the blood is being drawn to the surface through that pressure. Yeah, so divers will fill their goggles with water in that case. But that is only for divers who have a mask that does not allow them to blow air into it. If you are wearing a normal mask, like a scuba mask or a low volume mask, you have the rubber thing that goes over your nose that you can breathe into, and the air will come out of your nose into the mask. Up next we have Tommy Passanen of Finland. He is announced 66 meters, being supported by who dove yesterday, setting a new national record for Finland at 41 meters constant weight bifins. Oh, hello, it's me. Cool. Yeah, what do I want to say? I do want to shout out to our sponsors. Our sponsors, Atmos. We also have Double K above me. We also have the Paradise Hotel and also the Mayan Princess Resort. They've been huge supporters of us. They've been making sure that the event staff are well fed, supporting the event financially, supporting the athletes. We really appreciate all their support and all their assistance. Let's see. The other thing to note is that as we're coming towards the end of the day today, tomorrow will be free immersion day for women. Free immersion being the discipline where you basically pull yourself down the line. And to make sure that you are catching all of the updates, all of the results from today, from the event itself, you can go into the live stream chat, and there's a pinned comment up at the top that will take you to the event website. Has all of the current results from yesterday, the current results from today as they stand now, and as they potentially change throughout the day, pending judges' review, pending challenges. Final results will be posted there. You can also make sure that you're following AIDA International on Instagram, also following myself at Brandon Freediver on Instagram. I'm posting some behind-the-scenes stuff, showing the fun that happens when we're not being serious divers. Cool. Let's see. Let's get back to the action. Tommy is a part of Freediving Team Finland, a group that does lots of cool, awesome diving. Recently they did an event where they basically swam in the pool for 24 hours doing dynamics. We're watching depth disciplines right now, but there are also pool disciplines where instead of diving deep, you dive for distance and for length. And they had an event where the entire team showed up and they would basically swim for 24 hours. And when someone was not going, another person would jump in. And, oh boy, getting some surface movement from a boat passing by. How nice. But Tommy is down, unfazed. We're recovering, all good. There we go.
20 down.
Whew.
20 seconds.
30 down.
Okay. So I believe this will be a new personal best for Tommy. He has written down that he's done 61 meters constant weight bifins in competition at the Finnish name Sikala Depth Challenge in 2022 in a dark lake. In another Finnish word, Paijane.
Touchdown.
He's a part of that crew that
Diver coming up.
are all about jumping into freezing cold lakes, doing ice diving, and then jumping out and having an awesome, amazing sauna on the ice.
50
One day I will indulge my Finnish heritage and I will join them diving under the ice.
40 up. 30 up. Diver with safety.
You can see that Tommy has attached his tag to a piece of Velcro on his weight belt. The tags at the bottom are made of Velcro, or the fuzzy part of Velcro. And if a diver chooses to, they can either shove it into their hood. They can hold on to it if they really want to, but most divers choose to not do that. Or they can attach a piece of Velcro to their wetsuit or belt and just slap the tag on, and they don't have to worry about it. Nice strong recovery. Absolutely beautiful. In a second I'm going to talk about why pretty much every diver will grab their hood at the as soon as they come up out of the water. Yes. Yeah. Woo! Congratulations, Tommy. Beautiful dive. Big old smile. Nice and chill. Love it. Okay, so we've seen a lot of divers coming up and doing their surface protocol and then grabbing their hoods and basically just pulling them out and then putting them back again. Oh, hello again. Basically what they're doing is they, on the surface, they have flooded their hood, which means they've basically let water into their outer ears. What can happen with these tight-fitting wetsuits is that if you don't do that, you actually create an airspace on the outside of your head, like you would with a mask, that needs to be equalized. Because there's no way for us to actually get air from our middle ear to our outer ear, we can have basically a reverse barotrauma, where instead, usually when you experience the pressure of diving down, what's happening is you haven't equalized the middle ear, and so the eardrum is being pulled in. And that's that uncomfortable feeling that you feel. A reverse barotrauma is the opposite. In this situation, the middle ear is equalized, but the outer ear is not. And so the eardrum is being pulled out. And so to stop that, divers will flood their hoods, letting water in, filling that potential airspace so it no longer needs to be equalized. Other divers you might see will poke little holes over their ears to allow the water to move freely in and out. Generally, you'll see that in divers who dive in more warm waters. The issue that you sort of run into when you poke holes in your hood and you're diving in very cold water is that water will usually be flowing in and out. And so it's always sort of being replaced by cold water, which can be incredibly uncomfortable, and I'm not a fan of it. So, going all the way back to what we started with, when the divers come up, their outer ears are full of water. And because, again, that wetsuit is so tight, that water is just staying there. And you can't really hear when that water is stuck there. So they always open their hood, let the water out, and they can hear what's going on. Cool. Let us get back to the action. We have Mark Laszlo of the US up next. Hey Carlos, good to see you. My Dahab Freediver's hat is unfortunately stuck in Cape Town at the moment. I had to run out the door very quickly and I neglected to bring it with me. I very much apologize for that. In the future, I will be better. So I'm looking at the chat, and Isaac Reback says, "Go Mark, the deeper you go, the better you feel." And I want to talk about that a little bit because that is absolutely true in most circumstances. So a lot of divers, the deeper they go, will get something called narcosis, which is basically from a high concentration of generally nitrogen going into the body and into the bloodstream. And it can actually make you feel almost drunk. You feel a little maybe fuzzy, a little dizzy. You generally feel pretty good. But as we were talking about yesterday with Jennifer Venland, she was talking about this. It depends on what your mindset is going into your dive. Sometimes if you're feeling very nervous or uncomfortable, that narcosis can actually feel quite panic-inducing or quite negative. But if you have a very positive outlook, you're going into it nice and relaxed and enjoying your dive, generally you'll find that the narcosis will enhance that positive feeling. So yes, in some ways that is very true. The deeper you go, the better you feel. But always within your limits and always safely. Which again, you know, if you ever want to learn more about freediving, take a freediving course. There are tons of freediving schools all around the world. A lot of our athletes competing are instructors as well. So that leads into my thought of go follow all of our athletes on their Instagram accounts. They're always diving in beautiful places, or they're always running courses. So if you want to take a course with any of our athletes who are competing during this competition, follow them, see where they are, send them a message.
$20 down. $30 down.
Mark has a personal best of 65 meters in this discipline. And so he's going to be attempting it now during the competition, which again, I've said a few times, there is some added pressure doing these dives during a competition event versus just doing them on a regular day.
50 down.
And actually, Mark is an instructor himself, working out of Honduras, Utila. So if you're ever in the area and you want to check out take a freediving course.
Coming
Whoop,
up.
flying past the bottom. Haven't seen that yet today, but it's surprisingly common. Divers are super relaxed,
60
super
up.
just enjoying in their own head, working on the equalizations, their own
50
relaxation.
up.
It's very easy to just kind of fly past the bottom plate, even if you have an alarm set for a few meters before the bottom. Even if it is shoved in your hood back behind your neck, you can still definitely miss it. I've missed plenty of dive alarms in my day, just because of the relaxing enjoyment of diving.
Safety. 20 up.
Something to note that we haven't talked about yet is the safety team. Our safety team is always rotating through the divers who are diving at the moment. There's always a primary safety and a secondary safety. Okay, he's up. He's okay. He's got that glorious mustache too. Oof. Ooh, baby. Big smile on his face. And a white card. Very nice dive. Absolutely beautiful. If you guys do have any questions, please do feel free to post them in the chat.
All right, one up.
Happy to answer them.
Waiting for check.
There we see Dom on the right-hand side of Poland getting ready for his dive. Coming up after Nadav of Israel will be up next. Oh, we've had a really nice overcast day today, which has been really nice, especially considering yesterday was so sunny and hot. The breeze has died down quite a bit, so it's honestly beautiful. Could not be better. Very little movement on the surface, and again, conditions staying perfect for the divers. 30 degrees as we heard earlier, 35 meters of viz, and no current at all. Divers are able to free fall perfectly, just nice and straight, which is exactly what we love to see. Divers, if there's a lot of current, have to work to stay close to the line. Here we see nice live video of the resorts, the Mayan Princess, one of our event sponsors. Okay, so we have Nadav Han of Israel. Current personal best is 60 meters, so he's announced 64. As we said before, divers are allowed to announce up to 65 meters deeper than their current personal best in competition. Here we see Christian Meldam, who's joined us earlier, who is going to be supporting, I believe, Teddy of France on our left, his right. Nadav is a scuba diving instructor. And recently was in Dahab and was training with Gus, one of the absolute staples and legends in Dahab. and was encouraged to do a competition there. And he's noted that while he's doing his breathe up, he's doing a body scan and a visualization. Body scanning is a technique by which a diver, or even you at home, can sit there or lay there and bring your awareness to your feet and to your toes. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to scan each one of your toes for any tension that you might be holding and allowing them to completely relax. Then once you've relaxed them, you can move up to the balls of your feet, to the heels of your feet, and then continue moving and relaxing up your legs, over your glutes, up your body, down your arms, into your fingers. And by the time that you've done that, your whole body is completely relaxed, and you've also killed like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And in doing that body scan, it not only relaxes your body, but it slows your heart rate down, and it relaxes your mind as well by giving it something to focus on other than waiting for the official top to go. And then visualization is a technique used by a lot of freedivers to not only dive and relax, but also train yourself. And I'll cover that in a little bit after Nadav's dive.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Diver of the line is Nadav Han, representing Israel. The dive announced is 64 meters. Dive time is 2:20. Down.
Seeing a nice kicking technique here by Nadav. Beginning to slow down now.
30 seconds.
And entering his free fall. Again, what we're looking for in this position, we are looking for the chin to be slightly tucked in. That's a really nice position right there. The arms either at the sides or up above the head in a streamlined position. You see on Nadav, arms at the sides. And we want a nice straight line from the top of the head down to the tip of the fins. Slight bend in the knees, nice and relaxed. Toes pointed, but not straining.
Touchdown.
Whoop. There we go. Coming up, shoving the tag into the hood. Here we go. If you look very closely, you can also notice that he's actually moving his ankles as he kicks as well. There's a little bit of a flexion up in the ankle as he kicks ahead, and then back as he kicks back. And with bifins, with most kicking techniques, really what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically generate like a whip sort of movement. Starting with the hips, the main power generation starts there, and then you can sort of add extra power with the calves, with the ankles, and with the toes even at the end, if you include all of those movements together into one big crack that goes all the way down to the tip of the fins and then propels you forward. Okay. Up. I believe we hear Amber Burke in the water.
Okay.
Maybe that's Amber Burke. I'm not quite sure. Coaching Nadav. Got the tag. Got the big smile. Most important. There we go. That is a white card. Beautiful dive.
Hey, 3 up. Stand by. 3 up.
Very nicely done.
We're at 3 to 61.
Hey Amr, welcome back to the chat. Good to see you again. Plastic Seas asks, what do I do in Cape Town since I sound American? And how long have you been living there? I've been flying back and forth for about 10 years now. My partner lives there. And so I fly there. I do, when I'm not doing commentary or diving, I do teach, I do coach. I also sometimes build websites, but primarily I'm definitely moving into the freediving realm. I also lead visualizations for freedivers, which is something that I want to talk about next. Freedivers will not only use visualization as a way to relax their minds before a dive, but they will also use visualization as a way to train their minds and their actual technique. Science has shown that if a diver practices, or any athlete practices doing something in their mind repeatedly again and again, that will actually translate over into physical ability. So the example that they always use is a basketball athlete who is shooting free throws in their mind. They practice, they visualize, they feel holding the ball in their hands, they see the ball leaving their hands, the perfect technique of letting it release. They watch the ball fly through the air and sink easily through the hoop. And they do that again and again and again and again. And that practice actually has an impact, a like numerical impact on their ability to shoot free throws. Similarly with freediving, divers will practice their dives again and again and again and again in their heads, where they imagine themselves floating on the surface. They do all of their stuff. They take the snorkel out of their mouth, flood their hood, kick, do a duck dive, go down. They see themselves doing this perfect duck dive. Continuing on, they feel themselves kicking, they feeling the power being generated, and they train this again and again and again and again. And this not only allows them to stay relaxed, knowing that they've done this in their head so many times, but it also actually has a physical impact on their ability to kick, to keep their technique, and to keep it as refined as possible. So that's one of the things that I also do in Cape Town. Cool. Up next we have Dominic Krazewski of Poland. I'm gonna ask him for some feedback on how to say his last name later. Dom has announced 61 meters.
130.
Cool. Let me quickly pull up my notes here. I was in Houston at the airport waiting for the airplane to leave, and I ran into Dom. He came up behind me and tapped me on my shoulder and was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I did not recognize him. We'd been chatting a little bit on Facebook over during the Bulgaria Pool World Championship, and he was sending me questions and that sort of stuff, and I felt so embarrassed because I didn't recognize him. But we got chatting, we hung out on the plane together. Super nice guy, super excited to be here. This is his first competition, and he's just here to sort of have a good time, feel what it's like to dive at a World Championship event, and generally just have fun, which is absolutely awesome. A great way to start your sort of experience at competitions and also at World Championship event. If you go in with so much pressure on yourself, you end up having all these big expectations, which can add to stress, which can make it more difficult for you to actually complete your dives.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Whoop.
On the line, we have Dominic Krazewski from Poland.
A little bit of a floppy duck dive, but that is okay.
My time is 2:10. 2:10.
Something that I love about freediving as well is that there's always something new to improve on. You can be the best diver in the world, and there's always a little place that you can gain a little bit more time, a little bit more depth, speed, relaxation. It can be as basic or as technical as you want it to be. But I prefer it being technical and scientific and interesting. I don't know if you guys have caught that or not by my absolute inability to stop talking about freediving.
50, down!
Reaching out,
Coming up!
grabbing a tag, and coming back up. Nice reloading of the arms, keeping the hands nice and close to the chest. And also really nice arm position here too. We can see that his biceps are a little bit behind his head, which keeps the water being,
40, up!
or the water that he's cutting through, nice and in this sort of vortex around him.
30, up! Diver with safety.
Okay.
20, up!
There you go, Carlos. There's your product placement there. The Dahab Freedivers fish. Okay. Thomas, that 15 plus was not supposed to be there. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, we lost it.
Where's the motor?
And a white card. Says Dom's first white card here at the comp. Looking forward to many, many more
55
from the Polish diver.
5 minutes! No, stand by, stand by. Okay, exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, as you can see, I'm on my phone looking at the YouTube chat. If you guys have any questions, please do feel free to send them through. I'm happy to answer any and all. Let's see. Cool. What more can I add for today? We've seen some really awesome dives. As I've said before a few times, all of the results that we've seen up to this point are preliminary, pending judges' review. So after all of the divers are done, the judges will go back, they'll have a quick lunch, and then they'll go shut themselves in a room, and they'll review all the footage from today, all the dives, and will basically, they have a moment, or they have time to update any of the results that they saw were miscalled on the platform. From there, the athletes, or they then release a preliminary results, which the athletes are then allowed to, protest if they would like. The protest process then happens, and then final results are given from there. And that's that. You can see all the results from today's live stream, from yesterday's live stream, and future results on the AIDA website. There is a post tagged in the YouTube live stream. Let's see. Ooh, questions about food. Let's see. So I'm staying in between the Mayan Princess and the West End. West End? West. The two West names. I'm staying between the two of them. And real talk, I haven't had a whole bunch of food. I've mostly been locked in my room, going through notes, reviewing everything for the comp. I did go out last night to the Blue Elephant, which is a Thai food place, which is pretty good. I liked it. End of statement. I definitely need to get out more though. The first few days are always, for the entire event is getting things together, making sure things are running smoothly, and then we get into sort of a routine with everything running smoothly and easily. And then that's when I spend more time getting out, going out for food, all of that good stuff. Plastic Seas asks, have you dived with A, seals? Yes. Seen penguins and whales? Yes. And dived all 3 sides of South Africa yet? Yes, I have. Yes, I have dived with seals many, many times. I've been to Strawberry Rock in Cape Town, which is tons of fun. It's a seal colony that is beautiful. Dove with seal pups there tons of times. Have seen the penguins while diving, but they generally stay pretty far away. I have had the opportunity to dive. I was by Strawberry Rock again, actually, in Cape Town on the Atlantic side. And we were just diving sort of along the kelp forest there, and then a whale, mom and her pup, swam by. There's a video of it on my Instagram account. All the way sort of like towards the bottom. But it's absolutely a beautiful experience. They came so close to us. And I mean, you don't actually realize how big these animals are until you're staring at an eyeball the size of a dinner plate. It's pretty insane. And then yes, I have dived on all 3 sides of South Africa. My preference is Setswana on the northeast coast because it's warm, but otherwise, yeah, diving there is great. Love it. Amar, I'll answer your question just now. We'll watch Teddy first.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Our diver on the line is Freediving from France. The line is say 55 meters.
This is Teddy's 3rd competition, and is here to learn more, to experience diving at a World Championship event, and basically just level up his skills.
20, down.
His last competition was the Nice Abyss contest, where he placed 3rd in free immersion.
Down.
He wants to send a special shout out to his daughter, Luann, who pushes him every day to be better, and that he loves you. Also wants to shout out to Abdel, who's his coach, and whom without him none of this would be possible.
50, down. Touchdown. Coming up. 1 minute.
Nice turn at the bottom.
50, up. 40, up.
Nice and relaxed, arms at the sides.
120. 30, up.
Eyes gently open, watching that line. Removing his nose clip, allowing the air, hi Teddy, allowing the air to come out of his nose as it wants to naturally. Big smile. Clean surface protocol. And a white card.
Final set, coming up 3.
Well done.
Stand by.
Nice job, Teddy.
Oh, ready. Coming up 3. Wait.
He came up just in time for a few waves from another boat to hit the boat.
Coming up 3.
Amr, you asked for Rafael, did a 87 meter, but it's written 87 minus 15 plus during the attempt. Yes, that was just a mistake on the image, or on the overlay on the screen. The 15 plus does not mean anything. And Rafael did indeed complete the national record attempt with 87 meters, excuse me.
Good, confirm.
ABAPS Bahia. I think you are saying that the technology behind this is incredible, which I agree. The live stream that we have is amazing. The Dive Eye guys created an incredible production, making sure that you guys are able to watch this as a spectator sport at home. This is something that I think is really important for the sport. It allows you to actually see what's going on, not only on the surface, but also underwater. We're actually able to see what the divers are doing. The divers are actually able to see what they're doing themselves, especially at depth. Some of the deep divers, they don't have any way to see what their see how their technique looks at deeper and deeper depths. Not that you necessarily need to see how it looks at, 80, 90, 100 meters, but it's still really nice for divers to see their technique as they go down deeper and deeper. So huge shout out to the Dive Eye guys. They run a fantastic program. They're sitting over here next to me. 10 out of 10. Recommend. Final diver is up. We have Miro Saarenpää, of Finland.
3 minutes.
3 minutes until official top. Miro, again, one of the Finnish divers. We met, let's see, when did we first meet? I think we actually did meet in Cyprus last year. I believe so, but I could be wrong. More recently, we spent a lot of time together in Bulgaria with the entire Finnish team. They were there doing all of their pool disciplines as well. Miro is, in a lot of ways, the impromptu leader. Miro the man, Myro the man, Miro the money man. He has many nicknames, and for this comp he's going with Apnea Boy, as you can see across the front of his wetsuit. Super nice guy, very funny, tons of fun to hang out with. During the pool comp, he did 174 meters dynamic, which is swimming back and forth with a monofin. He did a static of 6 minutes and 48 seconds, so he laid face down in a pool and held his breath for 6 minutes and 48 seconds. He did 123 meters dynamic no fins, so swimming under the surface of the water using basically a modified breaststroke for those who don't know what DNF is. And then with dynamic bifins, he did 166 meters. All very nice dives. I'm looking at, so I have all the divers fill out a questionnaire like a week before they get here, so I have information to talk about them beyond, what they're doing on the stream or what I know about them personally. And one of the things that he wrote down for the question, what advice could you give someone who wants to get into freediving? He wrote, you should meet Brandon, which is a very sweet thing of him to say. I very much appreciate that.
30 seconds.
guys have any final questions from the live stream, now's the time to ask them, as Miro is our final diver. Andre, good to see you. Hello. Thank you so much for your feedback. Really appreciate it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Miro has announced 52 meters.
The final diver of the day.
And he is
Miro
off.
Saarenpää from Finland. The dive announced is 52 meters. Dive time is 1 minute 50. 150.
Because he is wearing a low volume mask, he does need to regulate the amount of air that goes into it. If you were to leave your hand off of your nose, generally you would find, if you were doing mouth fill, you would find that the air would get sucked into the mask.
40 seconds.
40, down.
Although it looks like he has let go of his mask and he's now just doing hands free.
Not 45.
Early turn.
40, up.
I'll have to ask him later about why he wanted to turn. Some divers turn early just because they're not feeling the dive. Other divers may not have
20,
enough
up.
air to
Diver with
equalize
safety.
with. And as I said before, any diver, whenever you want to turn, if you feel like you need to, that is the right time and the right reason for you. Okay, and he's up. Giving me okay sign, saying I'm okay. So he will receive a yellow card for this dive, which means he will get some points, but not all of the total points that he would have gotten from a white card.
Yellow card. Alright, bring me your blind, let's go now.
Still a beautiful dive. Very nicely done, Miro. Well done. Did receive one question. Which location do you like more, Roatan or Dahab? That is a very, very, very difficult question to answer. Both are lovely and amazing in their own ways. I will think about that and I will let you guys know at a later time. So, let's see, who asked that? And you'll have to come back tomorrow and ask me again, and I will answer it then for sure. Cool, so that is today. That was our Bifins constant weight dive for our men. Had some really nice dives, continental records, national records. Again, final results will be posted on the AIDA International website later on today. Pending judges review, pending athletes, protests, all that good stuff. So make sure you're following AIDA Freediving on Instagram. Make sure you're keeping a tab open to the AIDA International website. There is a link in the chat in the YouTube video. Also make sure you're following me at Brandon Freediver on Instagram. I'm posting behind the scenes stuff, also posting, tagging the athletes, all that good stuff. Cool. I think that's all for me. Thanks again to our sponsors, Atmos, Double K, Mayan Princess, and Paradise Resort. And we will see you guys tomorrow for women's free immersion. Bye.
Double K is a manufacturer of premium diving equipment in Korea, a vibrant and creative country. At Double K, we focus on constant research to develop innovative and comfortable products to enhance the experience of diving for our customers. We take pride in our cutting-edge and stylish designs, providing a sleek yet professional look whether you're in or out of the water. From wetsuits to fins, masks to equalization tools, Double K has all the freediving accessories you will need. Fall in love with your diving with Double K.
Atmos, inspired by the ocean. Location, speed, direction, altitude, atmosphere. Mission 2 is more than a watch. It follows you wherever you go. On the journey to ageless energy. We won't fear the unknown challenges. We won't hold back our curiosity. Your pulse, your tracks, your wake, the direction and achievement in your life. Distance and breath, merging with the ocean flow, our sweat cleansed in the currents. The world gets darker as we descend deeper. But your light will shine through the depth. A variety of color options. Each Mission 2 embodies your personality.